Happy end of August, or maybe not as happy depending on the phase of life you're in. I am in the homeschooling young children phase of life, so end of August into September is a time of transition for us, but I think it's going to be a positive one. Getting back into some routine, some structure. Homeschooling my kids means a little more focused individual time with each of them, which I enjoy. And you know, when summer started, I thought I was going to make way more videos. Not doing school means I have more time for this, but then it was nice to kind of have a break from everything, and I just enjoyed the downtime. And I'm planning and hoping that this works out, that the next video I make will be my reorganization of my bookshelves. That will be fun for me. I think it'll be a nice cozy video to watch. And having been a teacher for so long and now homeschooling my kids, September just feels like the time for fresh new beginnings. So a fresh and reorganized bookshelf sounds nice. As far as what I read in August, I only read part of 2 different books. They are books I was looking forward to. Both of them I've been a little disappointed in. I'd recently come off of some romantasy and some cozy fantasy, and I was looking forward to getting back into more classic style dragon fantasy. So the one I started August with, Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb, sadly is one of the ones I've been disappointed with. I have been such a big fan of Robin Hobb. I loved the last series I read by her, and going into this one is not as good as the ones before it. I am sad to say. Oh, I was looking forward to it so much. I found the series of all 4 of these at a used book sale. I was super excited about them and excited to start this first one. This one is the first in the 4th series in the realm of the Elderlings. So you have Farseer trilogy, the Liveship Traders trilogy, the Tawny Man trilogy, and then the Rainwild Chronicles. So the Farseer trilogy and Tawny Man follow Fitz, the character, up in Buckkeep in the Six Duchies area. The Liveship Traders trilogy is down in a more southern part of the world, different waters, different land, different cast of characters. This one's a little more of a direct continuation from the Liveship Traders trilogy. Not really a direct continuation because there's new characters being introduced here that we follow, but it takes place right after the events of the Liveship Traders trilogy and is in mostly the same area for most of this first book. And I was really excited to get to the part where there's more dragons. And it just felt like not as much care was put into making this one as good as the ones before it. I felt like it took way too long introducing all the backstory of the 2 new main characters. It took a little while on the recap of getting us into one of these serpents who had made it to where this story starts, kind of like a recap of what had happened before, which was one of the things I didn't enjoy about this as much. It felt like the recap was very just obviously, here's what happened last time. And then I'm not sure that we needed so much detail in the backstories of the 2 main characters. Thymara, the unschooled forest girl, and Alice, wife of an unloving and wealthy trader. I felt like we could have had a little more of an overview. I don't think we needed as much, I don't know, I guess some of the unhappy details that Robin Hobb really likes to give us about characters, like here's all the horrible things that have happened to them in their life. Now you know them, now we can go on with the story. That's a lot of what it felt like. Like here's just how sad of a person this character is before they set off on what it will be the real plot of this trilogy. Not trilogy. This one has 4 books. I'm wondering if this one is feeling like it's taking so long to get going because more of the real story happens in the next 3. And it's going to feel like it should have been a trilogy and just had so much to start. I don't know, I'm just guessing there. And as far as feeling like it takes way too long to introduce the characters and get going with the story, I don't expect a Robin Hobb book to be action-packed and to have fast pacing or fast-paced storytelling. That's not what I expect. I do expect the pacing to be well done, so in the slower parts it feels fine. This one I thought was going to kick off a journey, which I think it does and it's supposed to, but I'm on page 308 right now and they haven't left on their journey yet. Things are in motion. They're starting to almost go on their journey. It's just taking a long time. I think the setup here is all the things that the characters are leaving behind, which is why it's taking so long on all of that. And because it's all here's all the sad stuff that's happened to the characters that you're being introduced to that are going to leave on this journey. You're supposed to feel like they're going to have this new start in life, this new beginning. And it's supposed to be this happy thing that they're leaving and going on this new adventure, which I really hope it is. I really hope it starts to pick up in the next book and the rest of the series. I really, really, really want to like it. But then I stopped and took a break from this one so that I would have time to read the arcs that I got before they are released. And one of them is kind of long, and that's the one I'm reading right now. And that is Reckoning by Michael R. Miller, the 4th book in the Songs of Chaos. If any of my patrons are watching this, it's a lot of what I already said in my patrons video. But since that video, I have now reached page 252, and that is out of 677 pages. So I knew I would need to take a break from Dragon Keeper to have time to finish this. A longer book just takes longer to read. I'm not a super fast reader, but I'd like to be able to finish it and have my review ready for its release day, which is September 16th. So I had a feeling that this one would be the most depressing of the series so far, just based on its place in the series, which is the 4th out of 5, and based on this cover art. And so far that has been true. Basically, nothing is looking good for any of the characters in here. That is what I expected, so I'm not disappointed by the heavy, depressing themes that are going on right now. That is good storytelling. Bring the characters super low before you can go forward to the resolution. I am having some problems with this though. I will try to save most of what I have to say about its full review, which will come out sometime before September 16th, or at least by then. I think the main problem that this book is having is trying to squeeze in too many main point of view characters. In the first book, Ascendant, the main character was Holt Cook and his dragon, Ash. At some point, you get some of Talia, but for the most part, it's mostly single POV. I think maybe Rake gets a little... I don't remember exactly when some of the other characters started getting their own chapters. They kind of slowly started to come in. It slowly started to expand out into more points of view. This one was a lot more narrow. It's also, you can see it's shorter. And I think focusing on just a couple of characters was better, at least for this series, because trying to tell the story of so many other characters from their points of view is making it so that he just doesn't have time to go deep enough into each one of those. And I would rather have a deeper, more personal story about fewer characters. My favorite characters are probably still Osric and his companion, that I won't say in case that's a spoiler for people who want to start the series, and Holt and Ash. Holt and Ash have grown a lot, and this series was really heavily inspired, at least at first, by Aragon by Christopher Paolini. And one of the frustrating things about Aragon is how as Aragon grew as a person, by the time the series ends, he's still very young, less than 20 years old, and he still acts very young, thinks very young, still makes decisions that are really immature. And in this one, with all the stuff that Holt has been through, you can see his maturity and how he's growing and his relationship with his dragon. And so there is very discernible character growth that we get to see as we go forward in the series, which is nice. So with somewhere around 400 more pages to go, hoping I finish in time, on to my plans for September. I can't remember if I talked about this one in my last TBR video, because I don't remember if I had gotten it yet. This is To Clutch a Razor by Veronica Roth. This is the second book after When Among Crows, which I received as an ARC last year. Really enjoyed it, thought it was very well done. And then this year, I had seen the cover artist posting her art for this, and I thought, oh, that looks really cool. I like that they're keeping the same theme as the first book. It's nice and cohesive, but I hadn't really thought about it, hadn't really thought about whether I was going to read it or not. And then this one showed up in the mail. So I didn't expect it. And now I'm like, oh, I should probably read that before this one comes out, hoping I have time for that. But this one's a lot shorter. This one's more novella length. It's still over 200 pages, but should be fine. Just check the release date on this so I don't say the wrong thing. It also comes out September 16th. So that's my reading deadline for 2 books right now. This is the story that was like a Polish fairy tale and folklore inspired. So it had a lot of different inspirations than what I was used to. And it took a little getting used to, like, what are these different creatures that it's talking about? But it was refreshing to have something different and have it in a short enough story to squeeze in among other books. And I'm pretty hopeful to enjoy this one. I read 2 other novellas by Veronica Roth last year, When Among Crows being one of them, and she seems to have the pacing of a shorter book down really well. So after reading the nearly 700-page epic fantasy, Reckoning, this one will feel like a nice palate cleanser, I think, before I move on to the other books I'm planning on reading in September. So since September is back to school month, for a lot of us, there are a couple of books that I had been wanting to read, and I thought that this seemed like the perfect time of year for them. One of them is a new release that just came out like a month ago, maybe even in August. And then the other one has been out for a little bit of time, and I just have never gotten around to it. And so I plan on doing that this month, September. And that is some dark academia magic school themed books. Starting with Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. This is the one that's a new release, just came out. I've read absolutely nothing by this author, don't know anything about her, have read or watched 0 reviews about this book. I only know the blurb. A woman is doing some kind of illegal magic. She gets caught and punished by being sent to school. She has to like pretend to be a student or something, and I just think it's hilarious that her punishment is being sent to school. Having been a teacher, having worked in a school before, I can see how that would be a place that someone does not want to go back to. And then this one is a romantasy. So I am trying another one and we'll see how it goes. And then I also thought it would be fun to read another one in the same month and do like a comparing the 2 books kind of thing at the end. So the other one I plan on reading is, what's it called? A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. That's the first in the Scholomance series. I loved His Majesty's Dragon. I wasn't quite as excited about the next 2 Temeraire books, but I still like her writing enough to try some of her other things. And I think A Deadly Education is going to be different enough from the Temeraire books to give me some insight into just what other kinds of things she writes. When Naomi Novik writes in a very different style of story, do I still enjoy it? I don't know, but I look forward to finding out. I do have Uprooted on my shelf, which I have not read yet, which again seems very different from both Temeraire and Scholomance. More of a fairy tale type book. I don't know when I'm going to read that one. I have no plans for it right now, but I think it's going to be a fun season of reading for the next month or 2. And feel free to join me in reading any of those that sound interesting. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys a lot. I will link my Patreon and my Instagram and all the books mentioned in this video. And happy reading and happy end of summer. Bye.